With GAM fighters, they led me a short distance through the jungle, where branded as terrorists and living as fugitives, they hide away. Meeting with the rebels is strictly illegal. But Commander Muharrem, the GAM's top leader in North Aceh, was keen to meet me. He'd trekked for 14 hours through the night. He wanted to explain the GAM struggle in one of the world's longest-running and least publicized civil wars. I wanted to know how the tsunami would affect the conflict.
The national struggle in Aceh is, and will continue to be, to achieve our dream, and that is absolute independence from Indonesia.
I was taken to their camp along the coast. The Indonesian government claims that the rebels financed their cause through extortion, theft and ransom. But despite the government's warnings to aid agencies, the GAM have never been known to kidnap foreigners. We passed through flattened villages where the rebels' families had lived. They'd been among the tens of thousands who'd perished in Aceh on Boxing Day. The commander told me the tsunami killed none of his men because they'd been in the safety of the hills. As a force, the GAM may be undiminished by the disaster, but without the villagers, they'd lost their main source of supplies. We reached the GAM camp in the hills as night approached. An air of sadness prevailed here. From their vantage point, the men had seen the tsunami hit.
When I realized my family and so many people were gone, I was grief-stricken. I didn't have the heart to see it. I couldn't stand it. It seems now that everything is gone.
But these men had fared better than their enemy. The local Indonesian army barracks on the coast below had been hit full force by the tsunami. Thousands of soldiers must have been among the dead.
The units which were at Linky and other places nearby, including a mobile brigade, were gone, and also an entire battalion. This is from the information I have been given by locals.
The tsunami has brought the eyes of the world to this most devoutly Muslim part of Indonesia. The GAM know it could be a turning point in the war.
Perhaps the tsunami will be a test for our struggle, but the nation of Aceh will see this as a lesson, and we will continue to carry on with our dream for complete independence.
At dawn, this guerrilla camp seemed almost idyllic and a world away from the violently scarred landscape below. In a place also scarred by violent conflict, the government, the UN and the rebels have all now promised to push for an end to decades of bloodshed. The GAM declared a temporary ceasefire the day after the tsunami, but even as the government talked peace, its troops were sweeping the hills, searching for the rebels who they accuse of looting and robbing aid convoys. So Aceh remains in a high state of tension. The commander's nervousness had soon become evident. Lookouts spotted armed and uniformed men heading in their direction from the plains below. The fighters rallied to investigate. The commander had told me that his strategy for the past 2 years had simply been to avoid contact with the Indonesian army. Now that strategy was abandoned as he headed to intercept the intruders, ordering his men to approach the enemy in a pincer movement.
Turunnya kau buka saya, kau buka saya lepas deh. Apa lepas saya ui ke deh? Dia tengok bersiap untuk lepas.
Suddenly, the commander realized they weren't enemy forces at all, but his own men. They'd been escorting some villagers to a refugee camp. He was furious that they were returning later than ordered, and that they hadn't called him to say when they were arriving. What he didn't know was that their mobile phone batteries had run out. Commander Muharram said he'd let the men off lightly because of my presence. Back at the camp, his mobile phone was a constant interruption. Some calls were to coordinate body collections, others to fix aid deliveries to locals and food for his force.
If you have time, please send 40 packets of rice. I have to go. My mobile phone battery is dying.
The proposed ceasefire would benefit GAM, not the Indonesian army. On the run for 2 years, the rebels need to regroup. They know the government's unlikely to allow that.
At some point, they'll attack us again. We have learned to expect this from our previous experiences.
In the face of this lack of trust, the men were readying themselves for battle.
It may be peace, or it may be war, but we will still mobilize our forces to face the possibility of a bigger war. We are hoping this will be the last war for Aceh. Hopefully, as a result of the tsunami tragedy, the international community will help the Achenese people get absolute independence.
These soldiers might be hunted and grief-stricken by the losses, but they appear to be unbroken in spirit. The men I was with, although few in number, were well armed and organized. They're ruthless in their dedication to the cause, an independence that Jakarta is unlikely to allow. And that bodes badly for the people of Aceh, who have already suffered so much.
Kepeduk saja ya Allah atas kursi ijab putih la putih sampo darah ijab merah ya Allah sampo daging rupa sang ulun terang di awan wan bertapa pandang ya Allah senanglah hati darah yang hanyi kamu lebih memenang ya Allah Aceh merdeka lebih memenang ya Allah Aceh merdeka.
Bismillah yang di Milenial 26 karena
Putra Bude! Oh! Sia Bude! Oh! Alisan! Tuh! Alimin! Tuh! Alisan! Tuh! Alisan! Tuh! Dua baba, begitu. Mưu một đảo. Rồi, đi bước. Chậu đi. Ốp. Đi coi. Ôi đi coi. Untung dia belakang tu. Up, untung dia. Up, hey, up, dua, tiga, hormat dia. Up, hey, up, hey, up, tiga. Baik dan ada. Ya bapa. Ya dulu betul. Akan dan. Kurang beritahu, ada tinggal beritahu. Mantap, ulah betul. Ini dua tawan. Tolong beros. Surya! Terima aja boy, terima aja.
Beli.
Mak. Empat. Coba.
Allah. Good.
Kena mana meja.
Ada?
Kedini ada.
Tidak ada.
Jauh sana.
Yang dipukul itu.
Ya.
Itu aja yang takut masyarakat.
Tapi orang di sini mereka mendukung perjuangan
Ya.
mereka.
Memang mendukung sebagian dulu. Semuanya kalau di sini karena ini apa yang TNI ini sudah lama tuh yang dituntut merdeka dan misalkan itu.
Ya, ini apa? Pesantren?
Iya pesantren.
Dan Bapak Guru Ulama.
Sama pimpinan atau
Pimpinan.
istilahnya.
Ya.
Dan cepat.
Ya.
Có nhà làng Tentara Milenial kan? Cái làm làng của tôi nhau không làng? Bèo dulu làng. Tôi làm làng của bùi bạc bang nhưng làm làng của tôi. Đừng bạn đấy.
هذا Dekat. Sama dia. Demon dengar ini. Orang jauh. Ini perhatian. Merana. Tentara. Dekat.
Sumpah pahlawan Bela bangsa rakyat lam nanggrok kudep lamamu masa mujaya Iskandar muda masa mujaya Iskandar muda. Wahai bangsa lo Indonesia, beret ke Belanda, kapai perang yang mula, so yang berjaya kamu yang sembahkan pakai jino hana harga. Sejak dulu Indonesia